mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam, and I'm joined, as always, by Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, diddly-dee, there they are, all standing in a row, bum, bum, bum. No, we're not doing the Lion King, actually.
Yeah, we're not. But hey, soundtrack of this movie, something to be desired. Anyways, hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Monsters Up North podcast. This week, we've gone modern.
And indie.
Yes, it's going to be interesting. This movie's it's thrown us a little bit, and not in a bad way.
No, it's been a while since I've had a film make me feel something.
Yeah.
And be it disgust or whatever it ends up being, this film
something
invoked something.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and we're going to get into that tonight. So I'll do the disclaimer, and then we're going to crack on open tonight's monster file. Did it. So everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our socials. You can either join us on Facebook, you can come and join the Nerdy Up North Discord, or the comments section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of nerdism.
Do not be a dickus. Nay.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Before we get started, just a big massive thank you for the feedback and the watches for last week's episode. We generally didn't know how that was going to go down. It was quite unhinged from start to finish, but seemed to get a good response. So thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, who'd have thought David Arquette and some CGI spiders would have...
And then facial expressions. Who'd have known? Who'd have known? So, The Rule of Jenny Penn is the 2024 New Zealand psychological horror based on Owen Marshall's short story of the same name. Directed by James Ashcroft and written by Ashcroft and Ellie Kent, it stars the one and only John Lithgow, Jeffrey Rush, and George Hannah? God's sake.
Hannah.
Okay. We don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing. Monsters Up North opens the monster file number 89 with the Rule of Jenny Penn. Dun, dun, dun. Also, fuck that doll.
I loved how they made the choice of completely gutting the insides of it, and I mean the head and everything. No eyes in that doll.
No, I know. It's something as, with my fear of dolls, I very much appreciated that the eyes were not there, because it's one of the things that really freaks me out about dolls is that motion of when they are still, their eyes are open, but if you move them, no, fuck that.
I just love the fact that this is me doing a skeleton. This is this is a naked Jenny Penn.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Lick her bum hole. Lick her bum hole.
Do you know what?
God, that's awful.
When he did it, I was like, oh, he's kissing his hand. Like, as in, the whole royal...
Yeah, that's where I thought it was going. And then he said that to him, and I was like, what? Why has that suddenly become really disgusting?
We both saw the trailer for this earlier this year and was instantly intrigued by it.
Yeah.
To the point where we were like, let's do it. Let's give ourselves an excuse to watch it. We don't normally do up-to-date horror.
No.
So let's try something different. And I feel, and this one has been a perfect one. Off the bat straight away, there is not a lot of facts about this movie. This conversation is going to be more based on the movie itself.
Yes.
The people, the psychology behind it.
So massive
Yeah,
spoiler alerts for those of you that haven't seen it. We recommend you pause here, you go watch it, and then come back.
can't recommend. I instantly in my group chat today was like, "You just need to watch this film."
Yeah, because
Like,
Paul messaged the group, didn't he? Mine
yeah.
yours group, and he was like, "So was it good?" I was like, "Oof, this is oof." And then he went, "Is that a good oof?" And I was like, "I need a
I
shower. I need a shower in bleach."
I
Just-
totally got what you meant by the end. Actually, I got it in the first few seconds. Like I said to Dan earlier, I have never been able to smell a film so badly than I did with this one. Um, the cast alone, you have two of the biggest names, biggest acting names, literally going up against each other, and put George Hina.
And I've got it down as I would pronounce it as Hene.
Hene.
Oh no,
So
Hene. Sorry, Hene.
Hene. So he's not a name familiar to us, but in New Zealand, he is huge. So he is a juggernaut of an actor alongside Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow. It it's a powerhouse movie.
Yep. And there was an interview with Ashcroft, and he said that growing up in New Zealand, he said, obviously you get exposed to American movies and things like
Hmm.
that, and you grow up watching certain actors. And he said his two favorite actors was Jeffrey Rush and then John Lithgow. So they were his like idols. And he was like, when he got the options to this movie, because he's had the options for about 5 years, he's been sitting on them for 5 years. Those of you that don't know what options is, when a book is made,
Hmm.
they offer the publishing people and the writer offer the options out to have it made into a movie or a short movie or a TV series or whatever. And someone basically it's like a bidding system, and they put forward like a tendering system. They put forward their bids of what they want to do with it. And Ashcroft won the bid, and he won the option. So he's had the option for about 5 years. And he said that he was waiting because he thought the only people he ever saw in the two main roles was John and Jeffrey,
Hmm.
and he was not going to make it without them. So he held out until he could get the scripts right in front of them and had them read the scripts.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey immediately got 3 pages in and was like, "I'm doing this no matter what. I love this. This is right up my alley." And John had to read the whole thing, and then he rang them up and he was like, "This scares me. There's something about it that makes me feel so uncomfortable. So I'm going to do it for that very, very reason. Because if I don't challenge myself at
Yeah.
80 years old,
Yeah.
I might as well just lay down and die." And
And
"Yep, we've got them both."
for 80, the physicality of John Lithgow in this movie is ridiculous. Like, you don't think he should be able to move the way that he does. I know it sounds silly in context, his dancing.
Yeah. The thing is, because it's an old people's home, you automatically assume that they're put in that category of they're unable to do too much for themselves, hence why they're there. I think that's the mindset. The whole premise of this film is it's based in an old people's home that what people go to for rehabilitation, that are of a certain age to be able to go back to being independent and living on their own,
Yeah.
or it's where their families have just dumped them, which is
Yeah.
the premise of this film. And the surprising thing is it's so unexpected to be placed to be set in somewhere where you think you're going to be safe, you think you're going to be happy, you think you I don't know, there's an
Yeah.
element in with that whole idea of retiring to somewhere, and just
I
that it would be safe, and
Yeah,
it's
and I get
not.
what you mean by that because there's certain scenes in it. And I mentioned the soundtrack. The songs that are played through here are
Batshit.
crazy,
Yeah.
but it puts you in a safe space.
Mm,
But you're really, really not, because there is no time. This is not just, there is a few things that are based at nighttime,
yeah,
but there's stuff that happens during the day when you don't expect that because you have a lot of hospital staff around.
yeah,
It Yeah, the people who play the hospital staff and all got training from actual care home assistants
yeah,
in how to talk to people and and it's that patronizing way that they do it. It's almost like they're talking to children
yeah,
when a lot of these people are still very much up here. They just can't, you know, get it out here. Yeah, I was like, oh, I have heard you before. I've heard you before. I've heard that type of people before.
It's this. The sad thing is, you see the decline of Jeffrey. He's the only person,
Yeah,
Stefan, basically.
Stefan. Yeah,
You see the decline of Jeffrey Rush's character, Stefan. You see it from the incident where it stems, and then you just see his rapid decline over the movie, which is again a new idea because you expect him to get better, not worse, and it's like this. Owen Marshall, when he wrote the book, it was just a small short story. That's all it was. But when he wrote the short story, it was also called The Wall of Jenny Penn. They haven't changed it. He was so clever in what he did because he took a subject matter where everybody obviously has a false sense of security, and secondly, uses a doll for therapy. Thirdly, you're seeing a decline of somebody rather than the hero champion sort of arc that you technically get in movies. With this, you didn't get that
no.
arc. There was no like, oh, he's getting better.
I
Woo!
really
You
thought
know?
of one. I really thought when he's sitting in the therapy session and he's given the 3 words and he's given the puzzle and he starts doing it, and I was like, oh, this is showing him starting it, but it didn't, because what we were seeing is not what the doctor was experiencing,
Yeah,
and he was actually getting worse. Jeffrey Rush's performance in this is, it is absolutely breathtaking. This character is so complex, to the point where he goes on such a personal journey that you don't kind of expect from him, from the person who he is at the beginning to the person who he is at the end.
yep.
It's such a
He's
I
going from someone who upholds the law to someone that he would technically be faced with a very moral quandary about at the end of the film.
at the beginning he's so black and white.
Yeah,
Right is right, wrong is wrong. And he's a cantankerous old man who is very much set in his ways, and he's broken down not just by the actions of Lithgow, it's also the character Tony, who he shares a room with. Kind of, it's one sentence Tony says to him, and it really makes him stop in his tracks. And it's, do you constantly have to keep repeating the words of dead men? And because he would do all these quotations, and he's like, you're not even talking from yourself anymore. You
yeah,
are constantly quoting from other people. And then he starts talking as him
yeah,
and not these, because he's very educated and he likes to show that he's incredibly educated, and he's very much above everyone because he was a judge. He sat
yeah,
at the top. He got to pass judgment on these people. And Tony, in that one conversation they had, just broke him a little bit and was like, huh, okay. And he starts really looking in upon himself.
yeah. I mean, there was a true moment later on in the movie, which we'll get to, where I think things turned. But the thing about Stefan was the opening of the movie is he's sat behind the bar, and he's judging this passing sentence on this guy, and
Had
then all he
had to
keeps
be an
hearing
ant, didn't it?
all he keeps hearing is this woman saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And with he I'm guessing he started to have a stroke because they
It's
don't ever specifically say what happened to him, but that's what it looked like was happening to him. He was having a stroke.
It was the starting point of it. You could see
Yeah.
the mouth starting to drop, the confusion,
He was listening to things when he couldn't concentrate on what he was doing. He was hearing other
hmm
things. We all have that moment though where we're like, shut the fuck up, I can't concentrate, I'm trying to do this, leave me alone. And he could only hear her,
yeah.
thank you. And then he switched on her, and then he kept losing his train of thought. And it was just one of these things where you could see it happening, and then he just got up, and it sort of set the scene for how a no nonsense and how very, like you say, black and white he
hmm
was at the beginning before he like hits the deck, and then boom, you see a little automated wheelchair, like I can't think of, the independent wheelchairs, and off he goes. And I was just like, okay, so this is where we are. And you see the prosthetics on his face,
The
tried
lump in
to
the
make,
side.
yeah, where they tried to make
Um,
look.
we have a relative who's had multiple strokes,
Hmm.
and the arm movement, it's the arm placement.
Yeah, because he's got it like in his
Oh
lap.
my God, did it Jeffrey Rush clearly did his homework.
Mm.
Clearly did his homework because he had it down. I don't like using because of the subject matter down, but he had it down to a T.
Yeah.
He clearly knew what he was doing.
And at this point, he could still get up with a stick and walk a little bit at this point.
Yeah, because we get him going. He's in the care home. He's
Yeah.
not particularly happy that he has to share a room. Because come on,
Do
who
you
am
know
I?
who he is? How dare you?
It's how he was like, I put men because Tony, the guy who he's sharing a room with, who is George, he's a rugby player. He's a
Ex All
highly
Blacks, wasn't he? Yeah.
yeah, highly celebrated rugby player. And he's like, I used to put people like I used to judge them for being rapists. Like he has
Yeah.
such a perception, like everyone is bad to him.
Yeah. When he goes out into the garden in that opening scene, this takes you by surprise. This
Massively.
scene.
Because I
Well,
didn't see it coming.
no, and I'm still not 100%. It wasn't Dave Creeley. Like I need to feel like I need to go back and watch that scene again just to see if he was in the background
Yeah.
because I
The
feel like
cat
there's
was
going
there.
yeah, see, I feel like there's going to be lots of little bits where if you're not paying attention, you don't see it. And I feel like Dave or Jenny must have
Were
been in the
there.
background for this bit. But the cat, basically, they call the cat the harbinger of death in this old people's home. So when you see the cat and the cat comes towards you, they all move out of the way of the cat. They don't want to be near.
Yeah.
They're like,
I don't want to be next to the cat because it's like Doctor Sleep. Then
yeah,
in Doctor Sleep, the cat was a symbol of the person is on their way out. And also the they call them puppets, the doll that is Jenny Penn.
yeah.
They're real. In Alzheimer's and dementia homes, they are given dolls to it's I don't really it's a form of therapy that I don't quite understand. I know again, relative who had the same thing didn't understand where it comes from.
I think it were the purpose of giving them dolls or giving them a responsibility is to not only improve the memory of the fact that they have to feed, change, look
Yeah,
after the doll to keep it consistent. It can give the psychologists or or the mental health team basically an idea of where they are for the
right.
cognitive
Got you.
care of another, but also it is to trigger memories or try and get core memories out through their younger years. And if they had a child back then, will it like
Yeah. And I never
yeah,
quite understood it, but it seemed to be part of the therapy session for people with
yeah,
Alzheimer's and dementia. Um, so to me, instantly, I put Dave as a person who has either Alzheimer's or dementia because he has this puppet.
yeah, Dave. I don't think you even see him at this first scene. This first scene is literally just Jeffrey Rush in the garden with what I would call. He reminded me of like he was like a Rabsy Nesbitt guy, wasn't he? He was very
He was
much
very rough. He's very not um Stefan's people.
no.
But
It's
Stefan
like
was kind to him.
he
He
was
wasn't
thick, though he had a thick Kiwi accent. You
yeah.
could just about work out what he was saying because he'd smoked so much. He had like you could
They like
hear it was
cough.
like and he was drinking and then he started to cough and he spat a load of booze on himself while they sat there. But he offers Jeffrey Rush a cigarette and Jeffrey takes it and they have a nice little
It's kind.
tete-a-tete.
He
Yeah.
wasn't cruel.
And
Like
he's the way he said to him, so what are you doing here if you're a judge? And he was like, couple of words of bad investments. Oh, this will be the good one next time or whatever it's
yeah.
like he said, I've always made bad investments. That's why I'm here kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's what I would say would be the equivalent of a public sector
Hmm.
um nursing home.
Yeah.
So it would be where you would go if you have no assets to pay for your care. But I think he had minimal assets to pay because he made it out like he still has somewhere to go home to. But whether he
Yeah.
actually did or not, again, they don't clear that up because you don't know how far gone he is. Like,
No.
you're seeing it from his narrative, so you only get flashes of how bad he really is, which
And in a review that I watched, they didn't even know if this scene is real.
Mhm.
They didn't, because there's a lot of times in Jeffrey's point of view where things are a bit skew-if and a bit blurry,
Yeah.
and you don't quite know what's real and what's not. And this scene here threw a lot of people, but I am very much that Dave definitely had something to do with it.
Had
But
to.
it's because he spilled his drink, because Jeffrey gets up to go. He has his cigarette and he's walking. And he's obviously trying to have some independence because he
Yeah.
literally rolls onto the grass, stands up, and just walks with his cane, and it
Yeah.
is showing you that he's not. He's still got use of his legs.
Yeah.
He's still got use of one arm.
And
But
he
then
just wanted to see what was the lay of the garden,
yeah,
like
he was
wanted
just
to see where he was.
and then that guy spilled his drink all down him, and then the next thing you know, he's up in smoke. He's just whoosh.
He's a human. He's like Johnny Flame. He goes completely fireball on,
It's
and it's
awful.
just
That
like,
scene is awful when he's
and it's
trying to
like
shout help.
I was sat there, and I remember like,
Mm.
oh, because he didn't see it coming. Even though it was very obvious at the
Yeah,
same time
because
it happened.
he had the petrol lighter, he had alcohol. Like there was he was already showing that he was very unstable. There was a lot of clear signs, but the minute you see him go up in flames, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
whoa.
And then you hear Jeffrey trying to scream, but the guy was screaming, and it was just like they were outside, and like you say, because you don't see anyone coming to his rescue. At the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I'm like,
Is
so
this real?
yeah,
Is this
and
actually happening?
this is the thing. I will say, for a long period of this film, I felt like Jeffrey had imagined Dave, but then there's bits where that doesn't make sense.
It
Like
wouldn't
the more I
know.
watched it, the more it didn't make sense.
The
But
effect on Tony,
yeah,
because
it was weird. There was these moments where I thought, oh, hang on, Dave's in his imagination. Then there was times when I thought, well, hang on, actually, is it Stefan doing this shit? And it
and
be
using
and
Dave
it's
as a
Dave. Like
yeah.
Dave's is like since he's had his stroke, he's had an issue and he disassociates. And Dave's is like naughty boy,
Get out of
other
yeah.
part, yeah. And then you realize that's also not the case. But the way that it's cut and the way that the story's put into the script,
Mm-hmm.
it does make you question the reality of
It
every
does.
scene and everything that happens because you're like, did that just happen? Did he imagine it? Is this real? Is it in his head? It's open to interpretation, this film, very
Yeah,
much.
it is. You do see um Stefan's life now, and you're starting to see the routines that he's in, the fact that he can't wash himself anymore, and you can just see every time they do a washing scene, the dignity in the man is just going and you can see the change in his face. And that bathtub scene, for all it was nobody
Harrowing.
else involved. It's Dan. I felt like I was choking. Like I was like, no, he needs to. It's so he's in the bath and he's the one of the nurses, which is really funny. You never see some of the nurses' faces, do you?
No, because what he wanted to do is to make it obvious that they were there, but they were just supporting. They weren't the
Got
main
you.
focus, because that's what their jobs are in those homes.
Yeah,
They're the supporting staff.
that
So
made a lot of sense.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
that whole thing where he still had that shred of independence where he's like, "No, I'll be fine."
He's like, I'm stronger than I look,
Yeah,
because she was worried he was going to hurt himself, and she had to go and get a towel. And in the time that I really thought he was ready to end it all, because the look on his face was like, I am done with this.
yeah,
I can't take this anymore. And when
so
he,
undignified. Yeah,
yeah, and when he lay down, I was like, at first it felt peaceful until he started to struggle.
yeah. I thought he was just relaxing, like when you get in the bath and sometimes you stick your head under and you just have like a minute or not a minute. Well, your nose is sticking out, but you know what I
It's
mean. You
like
just
that
put yourself under.
silence that,
And
yeah,
everything's shut down and you think to yourself, right, I'm good now.
yeah.
And he didn't realize that he can't push his own body weight back up again. You know, like you use your legs on your toes on the bottom of the bath
Yeah.
to push yourself back. Because of his whole left side being down, he couldn't. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember in the film which way it was.
It was
I
left.
think it's his left. He didn't have the ability to push himself back up or pull himself up. So
No, you could see his hand, the hand that he could only use, that was even weak. He couldn't grasp onto anything. And I kept shouting at the telly, just push your feet, use your feet. And you could see him even trying to push his feet, but he couldn't quite get up. And then eventually, it doesn't last very long,
no,
but
it
it's
feels like
long
forever.
enough. Oh my God, it's long enough to where you like, I'm like clawing at my chest, like, oh my God. And then the nurse comes in and pulls him up, and you could see just the relief on his face, like, that's not how I want to go.
No, I mean, I will say you can see him becoming more cantankerous the more
Oh
he's
yeah.
debased and the more
Oh yeah.
degraded he feels, the more he amps up the asshole. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Oh, he doesn't come across as a nice person.
you're supposed to hate him. I feel like you're supposed to really dislike
I get that.
his character because he is. I feel like I could easily turn into to him being that jaded and that cynical about people, not being that judgmental, not being it from the same place where he's passed judgment his entire life and
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't know how to stop. More so
Mm-hmm.
that you become so cynical and so jaded about people you see and people you meet, and you get to a certain point in your life where you're just, well, fuck everybody, they're all that word. And then like you just get to that point in life where you're just like,
Fuck it.
and this is it. This is me. I'm me. Like me or hate me. And then he realized that that doesn't actually wash because they're so used to having people in this place with either mass delusions of whatever that, you know, like the lady who thinks it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so sad.
Oh,
That, that was so sad.
I want to talk about that when we get to
Yeah.
it, because something changed in that moment.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite understand it. See, with this film, it's so good at looking at the human psyche and the different. It's quite scary as well when you're
It's a
looking at.
psychological thriller, it's classed
Yeah,
as. So
yeah, but there's when it comes down to you can you with Stefan, I feel like you get to know him because of the way that he talks, the way of how judgmental he is. But when it comes to Dave, he's a bit of an enigma.
Dave doesn't it Dave's story never gets explained. However, there's flashes of how he not
And
how he's got to where he is, but the word institutionalized is meant in more ways than one with Dave's story.
yeah, yeah,
He's
and
institutionalized not just through the fact that he may be under mental health care
mhm,
for possible dementia or whatever he's claiming is wrong with him, but he's not.
no,
He has never left that place. He started a job there and he's never left.
no,
He
but you don't
literally
you don't know that quite yet though.
no, but the thing is you find out pretty quickly Davy boy is compos mentis.
Oh,
He
he's fully
knows
all
what
there.
he's
He
doing.
knows exactly what he is doing.
But you see
Yeah.
him the way he acts in front of the staff
Oh,
and
he's
acts in
so good at
public.
manipulating them.
Yeah.
So good.
Like
He knows, he has seen his fair share of patients, that he knows exactly what he is doing. And when they're in round about this time in the movie, you get to see the residents
yeah.
who are there. There's a lot of different cases. There's a lot of different health issues or mental health issues that are going on. So you get to see the residents of who you're going to be kind of sitting with in this
Yeah.
rec room, which, oh my God, could I smell so badly. I was like, my little gran was in a assisted living home, and they had this same room with the same chairs and the telly at the front, and oh no, and crafts and that, and tables for colouring in and such, and I was like, oh no, just brings it all back. Don't get us wrong, she probably loved it. But so yeah, we get to meet the residents, but we also get to meet Dave. and they're very much on the same stay away from him.
Yeah.
He's a
Every
crazy one.
everybody's like,
They
you can
know,
see in their face, they're
but
just like,
they
oh,
but they don't want to say
mm-mm.
why.
No, no one even talks about Dave. That's why I didn't think Dave was real for a long time, because
Yeah,
no one talks about him.
and he just
But
sat there quietly with his doll. Didn't do
little
anything.
Jenny,
Little Jenny. He didn't do anything until the night time when he visits Stefan for the first time. Obviously not Tony for the first time, but this is Stefan's first meeting him, and he chucks a friggin' pail of urine over him.
that was just because Stefan wakes up and he's sort of coming around and he looks over at Tony and Tony is petrified. He's got the covers up to his chin and you can see he's like,
Yeah,
his eyes are wide open and you can see the whites of his eyes and you can see he's petrified about something. So Stefan's instinct is to look over in the corner because Tony's sort of motioning, isn't he, with his eyes that there's
he's
something
over there.
there. So Stefan sort of looks in the corner and then you've got Dave sitting in the little corner by himself, just staring at him, just dead staring at him. And he just rushes him and tips a whole pail of wee, like the nighttime.
Peels things.
He just tips it all over his waist and starts laughing at him, and then runs off. Or does he
The,
go to Tony at that point? I can't remember.
no, we don't see Tony's. I don't think we see Tony's bit until later on. But because this scene pretty much cuts straight to him fucking booting right off. But once again, because he is already given the impression to the staff he is bigger than this place,
Yeah.
that they are, and they clearly have a soft spot for Dave, and it was his own pee that they're like they're almost kind of like twisting everything he's saying into making it out that he was making this up. The most scariest part of that whole scene is not him sitting in the corner, is showing you that when Jeffrey is in bed, or Stefan, he can't move. He physically can't move.
Yeah. He could move his head
He
and
can move his eyes,
he had the finger thing, didn't he? He had
but
the
it was
button,
unplugged.
which you didn't know about until the end. So obviously Dave knew where the plug was and unplugged it because he was
Yeah.
pressing it and nothing was happening. I thought they're just ignoring him at
Hmm.
the
Because
the
the
desk.
likelihood is he's probably done this, like, because
Yeah,
something wasn't comfy enough for
yeah.
him, or,
This pillow shit, bring me a new one.
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Oh, it
But
was,
yeah,
that was terrifying, that.
because John Lithgow stands at 6'4".
It, giant.
He's 6'4", and at the time of filming of this, I think he was 78, 79. He's 80 this year. Jeffrey Rush is 74. George is also 80 years old. He's the same age as John. So I love the fact that they didn't. Now, I know this sounds stupid, but they used people of a suitable age for the demographic that they were
We did,
looking
yeah,
to
yeah,
cast. We're not talking, oh, let's get, I don't know, Ryan Gosling and make him look like an old person.
yeah.
I am so grateful they
It
thought
wouldn't
about it.
work. It
Well,
wouldn't. It
no,
would. It wouldn't have worked if you didn't go with the cast being the age that they are meant to be.
yeah.
When you get to see John Lithgow for the first time, it is very unsettling. The piercing blue eyes, the teeth,
Oh,
the his coloration is, it's so unsettling.
it's the disheveled, like quite long stubble, but it's not a beard, but it's not stubble either. It's
He
not
looks
fresh stubble. It's like,
he looks dirty.
yeah, he's unkempt, but
Yeah.
the teeth. Ooh,
That was the one thing I didn't look into, but it was only after I'd watched the movie that I was like, oh my God, look at it, the eyes, how blue his eye, because that's one of the things that really stands out when John is just sitting in a corner with this doll and he looks up and it's his eyes are so blue.
there's 6 people credited for the special effects makeup on this set.
Hmm.
Because obviously this is I know I said it before, but it is technically classed as an indie movie. It was made on an indie budget. The guys weren't paid much for it. I don't know whether they got optioned in on, like we've talked about it before, some movies they offer them a
A
percentage of box
percentage.
office
And they
take.
should always take it.
Yeah, or a big whack or whatever. But I think because there wasn't much money in it, I'm guessing that the Shudder deal that they made may have contributed into a bit more of a financial bonus to the guys. But the actual budget for this film was 443,000 New Zealand dollars, which when you do the translation thingy, the conversion, it comes to only 189,000 UK pounds for the
They
budget.
used that is unreal because this movie is I couldn't even say it. You can say it's an indie movie, but when you are looking at the caliber of your cast, that kind of takes an indie away from me.
Yeah, and the fact that it did have a very short run, and when I say a very short run, it was only, I think they said it was between 3 to 4 weeks in the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
In the short run itself, it took 485,000 New Zealand dollars, which was an equivalent of 217,000 pounds
Mm-hmm.
in the box office. So in the 4 weeks, they'd managed to make a profit on the original budget. And then Shudder, because they toured a couple of film festivals with it, and Shudder picked it
Yeah,
up as an option, and Shudder paid an undisclosed amount for the movie.
yeah,
Um,
they did.
so I'm guessing the money was made within the deal for any,
Yeah,
like, anything to be picked up for Jeffrey and for John. But I think when I saw there was an interview that took place between Jeffrey and John, and they both said after they'd filmed it was at one of these film festivals.
mm-hmm.
They both said, had we had the discussion of money taken place after the movie was made, we probably wouldn't have taken much for it at all, because the sheer challenge of doing this was far beyond what we thought it was going to be and how we thought it was going to turn out. So
It's I dare say it's a fucking masterpiece. It really is. But after Stefan's had his first interaction with him, and the staff don't believe him at all, um, we get his second interaction.
yeah, I think you start to see, like,
Y-
you're more aware then of everybody just paying mind to Dave and making sure that they don't say anything, don't do anything. They just let him do what he wants. They don't
Yeah,
complain.
there's that one woman who he keeps stealing our soup.
Yeah,
A poor
because he
woman.
can, because he
Yeah,
can. That's purely the reason why. Um, and then he has weird interactions with some of the other people. Like there's the blind guy in
who
the
keeps pressing the time is.
yeah, and he's got the girlfriend, and they sit and hold hands, right? And they're setting up that little story, and then they set up the lady who thinks it's Christmas and she's only been there a fortnight, and
And she's waiting for our family to come because
come
the
and pick
family's
her up
coming
because
for
they've only
Christmas.
just dropped her off because they're going away for Christmas.
Yeah.
And you become, the first time she says it, you're sitting there going, oh, that's kind of like, oh, okay. And then Jeffrey Rush turns around and goes, but it's October. So you think, oh God, she's been in there for like 10 months. They've left her in there for 10 months.
I did originally think that, and then you realise that this is a running pattern. She generally thinks it's Christmas Day every day, like Christmas
Yeah.
every day.
She's always doing
Um,
something with tinsel or making decorations, or she's got little Christmassy things all over her at all
and
times.
a card as well. Her card to get into her room's all done out. Oh, it's a sad moment with her later on. Really, really sad. Um, but when you start to see the interactions more, they are very aggressive towards Tony. He's trying to, because he uses the doll in a way to get dominance over people, and it works. Tony is absolutely terrified because he will put the doll in Tony's face and go, "Who rules?"
Yeah. And has Jenny like crawling up their chest and staring at them.
But what you've, like Dan said earlier, there's no eyes there, so any light is just coming through these eyes, and they'll go, Jenny rolls, or Tony will say Jenny rolls, and then he gets him to do probably one of the most degrading things I've ever seen in my life.
Mm.
Because I thought he was asking him to kiss his hand.
Yeah, because the way he was like dropping it, he was like, "Kiss my hand."
Kiss my hand.
The action was giving
That's
off.
what it looked like, but it wasn't. Didn't ever think I would ever say this on this podcast, but he actually said, lick her arsehole.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly what I thought I'd ever hear John Lithgow say out of
No.
mouth.
So he licked his wrist.
Yeah,
It's not nice.
and
It's not nice.
it's just a wrist, right? But it's not. The
No.
subtext, the
way he does it, the way he says it, the look in Tony's eyes is just, oh, but he's doing all this. He's not doing it to Stefan yet. He hasn't
No.
quite broke him yet.
And that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to prove a point to say, I'll keep taking this further with him until you agree to break,
Yeah.
because otherwise George is going to keep getting it until you break. And
It's when he turns around and goes, I'm not talking to a fucking doll.
yeah, but it's the levels that he goes to with George, like when he starts trying to, this is going to be another grim thing. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was a trigger warning. It's just grim.
It's grim.
He grabs the doll and starts trying to masturbate Tony with the doll, John Lithgow, when Tony's in bed. And I was just like, oh no. And I'm not somebody who is prudish. I am not someone who shies away from things like that. But it was just so that made me feel physically sick. And
Yeah.
it emoted like this whole thing where I'm just like, you are sexually assaulting an old man. You have, there's, with dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that, there is a level of aggression that they display when maybe they have moments of clarity and then unclarity, and that there's a whole selection of things that they go through. So for him to portray the fact that he is giving off that he has dementia or Alzheimer's when he doesn't, and he's being sexually aggressive and assaulting another person, not a woman, a man, to prove to this is dominance. It was pure dominance. There was no other reason for it. It wasn't to get some sort of sexual gratification from doing it for either of them. It was that, look what I can do. Look what I can do to you, and you're not going to do anything to stop me. And then Jenny will do it too, because you're just going to let her, because I'm telling you, you have to let her. So deal with it.
It's fucked up. It really is.
That whole scene, and then the other scene later with the catheter, I was just like,
oh my God. Yeah, because Tony's in there because I feel like he's got injuries. His hip and his legs. Clearly. I know. Yeah, his hips and his legs are very, very damaged. Because that's another point is with the whole catheter thing. He starts saying, "What's the bad hip?" and then fucking hits it to find out. But during the day, there is a scene where you do see that Tony has a safe space. That safe space will come into play later on. But Stefan doesn't understand why Tony isn't doing anything, and he calls him a coward. And it
was in yellow, didn't he?
Yeah, he says the color on you should be yellow, and I was like, fuck you. You probably have no idea what he's been going through, and on his own.
I think that's the problem. Stefan has always been the one that stood up to bullies because he was in the position that he could.
Yeah.
For no other reason than he was a judge. He could.
He could do
He'd never been in the position of being on the flip side of it.
Yeah.
Being the persecuted person. He was always the person persecuted. Well,
he makes that point at the beginning when the woman who's saying, thank you, and he went, don't you thank me. Don't you try and make out that you're a victim here. You allowed all this to take place. And he's got people pegged so quickly.
Yeah. And I love that, because it was just like, you never normally see something like that said in a situation, because they make it very clear that the case that's been tried at the top of the shop is to do with child things, and you're like, all right, okay, this is where we're opening, is it? And then it's just the way he berates her after her saying thank you all the time. He's like, no, you allowed this to happen. You're not a victim. You do not get to thank me for anything. And
No.
I'm like, so that's who this guy is. You
Yeah.
literally get that conversation he has. You're like,
You know who he is instantly.
straight
And this
talking
is,
down
but
the
this is,
line, but
and
still
this,
a cantankerous old fool.
yeah, and this is what he does to Tony.
Mm.
He thinks he's got Tony pegged because of what he's witnessed, and Tony's never stood up for himself. But it he doesn't understand fear. That's Stefan's issue. He doesn't understand how people can be scared because he's never had to be scared.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is as well that obviously Stefan at this point might have only been there a month. He might have only been there a week. We don't know how long Tony's been subjected to this night
Mhm.
after night after night for years and
Yeah,
years and years. You know, they don't give you any sort of backstory on how long Tony's been there. You know how,
no,
I mean, they might mention it in fleeting, but I don't recall.
it's not
Yeah,
something I picked up. But what they do is show Tony on how actually celebrated he is when the young rugby team come in, and he's like, "La, this is Tony, and he did all this," and Tony can't even recognize his own success.
no.
He's so broken.
Because of and it all comes from that conversation where Jeffrey was calling him and saying all those things because it
College,
made him question who he thought he was
yeah.
and who he is now. You know, and he was sat there in that room with all these kids say, you know, meet your heroes. This is an amazing thing you've met Tony. Tony's like
He's so celebrated.
he's
Like
this
these
huge
kids,
guy.
what, and you could hear the coach at the end going, and what did we learn from today? Work hard. It all pays off. Look at how great Tony is. And
Yeah.
Tony at the same time is literally running out of that room to go to his safe space because he just doesn't want to be there anymore.
No,
He
he just
can't hear it.
no, he didn't want to hear it because he knows that's not the man he is now, and
No,
he has to reconcile that for himself. And so, the unsung hero in this film is Tony,
it's
and
Tony.
it's like he and I don't think it's intentional, but he is overshadowed by Rush and Lithgow because of the star factor that those two bring.
Yeah, this powerhouse, this
You
power
know,
dynamic as well, and the fact that Tony doesn't even go back and forth with Dave. Stefan like really gives him a run for his money in
yeah.
words because that's what Stefan's good at. It's talking. But and I said that Stefan had a journey here. So did Tony.
Mm.
Tony had a massive one, like the revelation of what ends up happening. I feel like Tony, if it wasn't for Tony, it wouldn't have happened.
Oh no, 100%. I think the issue with Tony as well is that this is Tony's story. I feel like this is Tony's
It
story.
is.
You know, whilst it's mainly Stefan's point of view, or you see Stefan's journey, I think it's more about Tony. For me, that's how I saw it anyway. And Tony was the punch bag for everything Stefan did. Stefan
Yeah.
still did not catch on to that fact, even when they
No.
were later on down the line. And he was just like the catheter incident.
Yeah.
And he was basically Dave is trying to pull the catheter out of Tony, um, and like it. Oh God, I mean that has got to be excruciating.
I
And
couldn't, no, yeah, and the fact
he
that he's
just
also hurting his bad hip as well at the same time. So there's that pain, and Stefan still can't grasp the fact that
no,
all this is happening is because he won't bend to his will.
and he won't shut up, and he keeps looking at you. Can see Dave constantly looking at him
Like,
and he's
are you
like,
gonna
"I'll
say?
pull it harder next time," and he's saying it to George, but he's always looking at Stefan, and it's
Mhm.
like Stefan just wasn't getting the fact that if he just shut up, George would
He-
be okay. So, in one way, him not shutting up did George a massive favour because George realised how much he was letting
yeah,
the person he'd become through Dave's actions. Basically, I think he was faced with that because Stefan made him face his own.
yeah. Well, this um, we have the incident with the old lady
Yeah,
first before we have the next one. Um, so she's the lady who's waiting for her family is constantly looking outside the same window.
yeah,
And this one night, Dave decides that he's going to let her go to them. And he lets her outside.
because he gets bored. This is the
Yeah.
thing, Dave.
And
If he gets bored, he walks around the hospital at night, letting himself into everybody's rooms
mhm.
and then just staring at them or stealing their things, or he just
Oh,
doesn't
that's right, because he stole a lot of stuff, didn't he? And he put it in
planted it on
Stefan's room. So he's kind of put the hospital staff against Stefan as well. I mean, Stefan did a banging job on his own,
Yeah.
but yeah, Dave's kind of like really cemented the he is such a dick, because he's a thief as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this night he opens the door because when we learn that Dave has been there for a long time, that we now know why he has all these pass keys is because he's probably kept them along the way.
Yeah.
um,
It's the bit where I think at this point you see there's the cat run out of one of the rooms when he's having one of his jaunts around. This is before he lets her out.
yeah.
And you see this old guy on the floor, like literally with his hand out, like begging Dave for help because he can't scream.
Hmm.
And you see the cat run out. So you're like, okay, this guy's clearly on his last knockings.
Yeah.
What does Dave do? Just shuts the door,
Just
let
shuts
him
the
die
door.
on the floor.
Yeah.
Lets him die on the floor.
There's a couple of occasions where he's done that.
And it's just one of those things where you're just like,
Oh, you
ooh,
fucker.
yeah, ooh,
You fucker. But this night where he lets her out, she goes wandering. And he kind of follows her. He knows where she's gone because when he comes back and he's got her pass key. Now, this is the bit that really confused me
right.
because he has her pass key and he looks at it and he realizes it's like realization kicks in of who it is and he goes running back for her.
No. What
Right.
happened is there's leading up to him taking her to the garden gate to let her out beyond the walls.
Uh-huh.
Basically, I can't remember if she drops her pass key, he drops his key when they're trying to go outside. There's something that happens
Right.
to the pass keys and they get mixed up. And he
Got
picks
you.
hers and she has his. But because they don't need the pass key to get out the gate, all it is a matter of him just opening the lock to let her out. He doesn't even think about it. She's gone for a wander. And then he gets
I
back to
get it
his
now.
room. He's at his room trying to get in his room with her card. And then he realizes,
It's her
fuck,
card.
she's got my card on her and I've got her card. So I need to get my card back because they
Right.
know that I
I
had
must
something
have I
to do with
must
it.
have literally missed that part
Yeah.
because I was like, why is he so bothered now? Because he he then finds her.
Drowned in a puddle. It's ever so sad. It's just sad because it's like she was shuffly. She was like a little shuffly lady.
She wasn't
Um,
getting very far. Like,
and he knew it was going to happen. Let's be honest.
yeah,
That's why he
he
let her
of
out. It was an
course.
experiment. It was an
Yeah.
experiment, Dave. He just wanted to see what would happen.
And then the nicest part he did was turn her the other way around.
Hmm.
Because you can clearly tell she's literally just fallen into a puddle
And
and
she, yeah,
she can't get up.
yeah.
And the nicest thing he does is turn her around.
So that was purely because he was trying to raid her pockets to get his key card out.
Now I know that,
Put her
yeah.
key card, put her key card back in her pocket
As
so
it's
he could
such a
take his.
it's so sad because how frantic he is, and then when you're in that moment, it's so still and it's so quiet, and she's just lying there in this puddle face down. And when we say puddle, it's like a puddle, like
Yeah,
it's huge. Um, yeah, that moment was really, really sad. Especially when you've seen her throughout the movie, you
yeah.
know,
She's
and
harmless. She's just
she's
thinking.
harmless. She's living in a continuous looping moment, um, which makes her happy. Like
And that's the thing.
I know it's not great and ideal where she is, but she's happy at the same time. She constantly has this happy memory
Because
going
he goes
around.
up to her, doesn't he, when she's making Christmas decorations, and she's like, "My family will be here soon. You watch." And she says the same thing pretty much. She says all the time. And he goes, "You've been here for 20 fucking years, and you've never said anything different, you know." And he's like, and then he hits her on the head with Jenny and walks
Hmm.
off. And that's the
Because
first time you see something on her face,
yeah,
like
other than
other than it's Christmas and my family are coming. She looks kind of like she
it's like a
just for a split
moment.
second, yeah. She's either recognizing that there's something strange just happened, and as quick as it comes, it goes. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Oh, she's back. She's back in her
yeah,
reel now. Let her just stay there. If
yeah.
that's, I don't know what the alternative is apart from being healthy, but my God, yeah. Um, Stefan's had enough.
Hmm.
Had enough. and take matter into his own hands. And he realizes that Dave is very asthmatic.
I loved this bit. This was some snidey shit. And considering
This is a level of snide
petty
eye.
snide, yeah.
Yes.
Considering you've got to remember, Stefan is a judge. Everything he's ever done has been straight down the line. He's hated anybody that's done anything wrong. This was the whole thing with Dave. People like him he's used to putting away, and people like him are the people that he has spent his whole life hating.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always dealt with it in the correct manner, which is to sentence them, judge, jury, executioner. That's his job. But because his word means shit in this environment, he naturally gravitates to this so quickly without an issue. Like, there's no moral dilemma. You don't see him going through the fact that, oh, I've always been very straight down the line, and oh,
No.
I'm doing something that's questionable here. There's none of this
No.
story that I feel you would see in other films where they're having this turmoil about being
A debate with themselves on should I
Yeah.
do this, should I not? No. He goes
He's
and
like,
fucking does it.
I'm
And
fucking
it's
doing this.
Yeah. So when Dave goes for a shower,
Mhm.
because they all have to have assistance when going for a shower, regardless of how competent they are physically. Stefan goes into his room,
And that's a little nosy.
and it's the most basic, blandest room ever.
Mhm.
Bed, sideboard, dresser. That's
Everything
it.
is OCD folded in the drawers.
Yeah, there was a photograph that said 1972, the last day of my sick leave.
Yeah.
Which is something that gets told later on.
Yeah.
But we don't know what Stefan's doing in there. We have no idea. Your brain doesn't go to where what eventually happens,
Yeah.
because and I feel like Dave had this like sixth sense about him where he was like, I need to get out of here, because he literally runs straight back to his room and he's like, there's no one there, but he notices that the soil in his plant is
Yeah.
on the dresser.
Yeah.
Somebody has been there.
Yeah.
But what they were doing, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And this is where you start to see a change in Stefan and Tony's relationship after the whole conversation that they have where he's like, please stop using dead man's words. Use your own. Be yourself. That he starts to become a very different Stefan than what you've
Yeah.
seen. And there is a moment. Oh, go on.
No, go on. I was just going to say, it's just the way that when Dave is in public, he has this other persona, but he drops it when there's just one nurse and him. It's not
Yeah.
that he drops it. He doesn't play up to
Just
the
yeah.
stereotype that he is when he's in front of everybody in the room. He's not acting to the room. And so when he comes into the room in a minute, when he's had the shower, he's literally just, you can see he's thrown clothes on and he's just gone pelting into the room to make a point. But
yeah, that was because he doesn't know what he's done.
he doesn't even
But
know 100%
it was him. He just and Stefan plays it brilliantly because he's just like, he looks at him and says, "What the fuck's the matter with you?" And Dave just starts dancing.
He puts on, I can't remember what the song was now.
It's oh my gosh, you should know. Knees up, Mother Brown. I was gonna say you should know.
Knees up, don't get the breeze up, knees up, Mother Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, I instantly thought of you when that song came on.
Yeah, it's knees up, don't get the breeze up, knees up, Mother Brown. Oi. Oh no, what an ugly. Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those songs as a kid we were taught, Cockney rhyming slang and being that close to the
Fog on
land
the Tyne.
and all the pearly queens and kings and stuff.
No, we just
So
had Fog on the Tyne.
yeah, fog on the Tyne is all
It's all
mine.
mine, all mine. Oh God.
Gaza. Yeah. It was one of those things where when he started to dance, it was very unsettling because they used the nursery rhymes in a way that, because there's this whole thing about how it's a thing where people with dementia, they say, regress. So by the playing of the nursery rhymes, it was very much like he knew if he played that song. I know Knees Up Mother Brown isn't a nursery rhyme, it's more of a Cockney good time song, but
Yeah.
they are the kind of songs that they play in nursing homes to get the old people excited. Do you know what I mean?
Clapping, clapping,
Now,
clapping.
when I get to an
Yeah.
old person's home, the only way they're going to get me doing that is by playing Rammstein and Kubla Khan and stuff. You know, I'm
I
not gonna
I
be sitting there
messaged Dan
going,
today
"Knees
and
Up
said
Mother Brown."
I ain't going in one of them.
No,
No,
I mean,
I ain't going in one of them. I'm glad I don't have any kids to fucking put me in one of them.
I'm very much it. This film does make you question not your mortality, but it makes you
No,
question
you're
the fact that you think you're safe. The fact that
yeah.
when you not aspire to retire, because the aspiration to retire and live comfortably in your house is one thing,
Hmm.
but the fact that there is always that layer that you might not be able to look after yourself anymore, and you have that stubborn set of people, which I feel like I would be, which would be I don't want to depend on family because I'm too damn stubborn and too damn independent, so I'd rather take that away from them and put myself
Yeah.
in somewhere like this
Yeah.
and regret that choice because you think it's going to be safe here, you think it's somewhere where you're going to get looked after, and
Oh,
not only have you been neglected by the staff, you're brushed under the carpet by the staff, you're persecuted by the other people you live with, you hate everybody because you have the superiority complex. There's just this whole level of like, no, I'm
yeah. No, no.
no,
I
no.
didn't question my mortality in this movie at all. It was more, I don't ever want to fucking be here. But when Stefan starts dancing, he starts having an asthma attack. And he goes into his pocket to grab his inhaler. And his inhaler doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
Not just that one, but his second inhaler doesn't work because every
Mhm.
asthmatic carries two inhalers.
Yeah.
Um, and then he runs to his room while he's having said asthma attack. It must be very severe because it's very quick.
Yeah.
And the third one doesn't work. And the fourth one doesn't work. And the fifth and the sixth. And he goes into an absolute panic.
And then it
And we,
fades to black, doesn't it?
yeah, genuinely didn't know. I didn't think he was dead because I was like, oh, that'd be weird to end it right now. Like that'd be really weird. Like that is pretty petty, but that is not the level I'm looking at for here.
The reason why I thought he might have been is because you saw how happy everybody was. Because what he actually did after he was dancing, was it after he was dancing?
No,
Oh, right, that's in a minute, is
this is
it?
the next bit. This
Right,
is when
yeah,
he comes back.
yeah. So the atmosphere in the room is very much everybody seems happy. There seems to be like this.
Tony sleeps properly for the first time in probably God knows how long. Like
Yeah.
even like Stefan can hear him snoring and he smiles that he can hear him snoring, that he's asleep. The whole place after he's gone. Because what Stefan did is went into his room and emptied out all of his
He
inhalers.
just sat there and pumped them till they were all empty. And
Emptied them
that
all.
horrible,
Yeah.
but
But
justified in this occasion, I feel.
massively, massively. But yeah, everyone's happier. Tony's sleeping. Stefan manages to sleep. He manages to put the alarm down
Yeah.
on the side table and be like, oh, I can sleep now. And we all think everything's all okay until he comes rushing back into the room. But we don't. This is another one of Stefan, because Stefan is actually getting worse.
Yeah.
He's not
He
getting
keeps
better.
blipping, doesn't he? He
Yeah.
blips. Like they
He's
were in their common room and they were all watching TV together, and him and Tony were talking, and then
and
he
him
like,
and Tony like smile at each other, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's sat there by himself.
yeah, and he's lost time and he doesn't
Hmm.
know like what's going on, and he's in there on his own. So he thinks at this point in the rec room, everybody's gone. But it turns out the two lovely people, the guy who's blind in the wheelchair at the time and his girlfriend are in there as well. They were, or they were just walking through, or there was something that
They're in there.
in
They're
the
in
room.
there.
Yeah.
They're in there. And then Dave is in there with them too. And
Mm,
probably one of the last scene with the old lady was sad.
this
The
was
catheter was
charming.
grim. This is just fucking. There's no words that can even describe how horrible this moment actually is.
Because she knows what's going on. She doesn't have dementia, this lady.
No,
He's
and
the way he talks to her, he's making out like she does, because he's like, "We'll get you ready for your bath now. We're gonna get you ready," and the way he was talking to her was so patronizing. But as we would know at this point, Dave's worked there since the early 60s. So Dave was an orderly there throughout his entire life, and then he
yeah,
just stayed as a patient
yeah.
because he didn't know any different. He did not want to leave. So
No,
he was manipulating her to a point of where he was trying to shame her. And then he pushed the blind guy.
he pushed the blind guy over to stop him, and he was all the way through this. It it was an attack.
Yeah,
It was an attack on this woman.
yeah.
He is screaming, "Get off her! Leave her alone! Just get!" And it was just constant, constant. And um, Stefan can't help.
Mm-hmm.
He can only just sit back and watch because again his condition is getting worse. He can't move anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Dave keeps smiling at him whilst he's like undressing this woman, and
it's
she is so
oh my god,
petrified she can't
she is
move.
literally pinned back in a chair, and you don't see nothing.
No.
Nothing happens
He
in.
unbuttons her shirt, but she's got like a vest top on
She's
underneath.
got like a negligee on, and he kind of gets that top off, but we don't see past,
Yeah.
we just see the top of her chest, and that's it. But it's the fear in
In her
her
face.
eyes,
Yeah.
her pressed up head against that chair, like just wanting this to be over. It is harrowing to watch. It is fucking horrible,
Yeah, and
and the sounds that are going on at the same time.
the weirdest thing about it is very little is done. Like John Lithgow doesn't do much. Dave doesn't do much to her except for
No,
unbutton her shirt. It's what he's saying rather than his actions, but
yeah,
his actions at the same time as what he's saying. And it's like
she's
it
so
is,
scared.
yeah, and kudos to the woman who played that character.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry,
god,
I
bravo.
didn't look into it, but this is where Stefan loses his shit. This is where Stefan can't take it no more. He's had enough, and he stands up to Dave, and
He
he
stands up.
smashes him. He literally stands up and he smashes Dave and breaks Dave's arm with his walking stick.
Yeah,
But in doing so, it took every last ounce of whatever Stefan had left, and Stefan then proceeds to have another
yeah,
stroke.
yeah. This is him literally going to be at his worst. But this is also another great manipulation for Dave because when the staff walk in, it is Stefan who is standing above him with his cane and Dave cowering on the floor.
And looking like Stefan hurt that woman. It was Dave is
And the fact that
so
the
calculated.
blind guy is blind, he doesn't really know. He would never be able to say because again he was just screaming all the way through this incident. Yeah, so it's another great manipulation tactic for Dave to get Stefan into trouble. And but it doesn't matter because Stefan gets rushed into hospital anyway because he's his other side's kind of like, he's worse. He's deteriorated so badly. Um
And they up the prosthetics again to show how more severe on that side he's
yeah,
got. So
because during the film you do see the side where he had the stroke is starting to get better because
mhm,
his speech is getting better because obviously the muscles in your face are starting to work
yeah.
again. But it it kind of like everything. Oh, you need to understand your muscles of your face to know how your face kind of works. One thing that I told my sister about when you die, what happens to your face, and she literally went green. Like her face went green. I was like, "Well, what did you think was going to happen? Do you think this stays up by itself?" No, no.
I will reiterate the fact that your bottom jaw is not attached by anything other than muscles. It
Muscles.
is
So
not connected to the
once
top of your skull. This
once
is
they
an
are limp,
independent part of your body, hence the term slack jaw.
yeah. So when your muscles stop working, and
It's just one of those things.
yeah,
So
so yeah,
you
he's
see Jeffrey in bed come around and you realize, okay, you see him now and he's more lumpy bumpy than he was before.
yeah.
You see that he's lost a lot of the motility, and then you just see him being pushed now into the rec room rather than being able to use
He
his
can't.
own
Yeah, he's always been very. I am doing this by my.
independent.
I
Yeah.
can do this. You don't do this kind of thing. And there's a moment when he is in the rec room where Dave is being. Dave is sitting in front. This is where Dave is sitting in front of Stefan, and he's kicking him constantly.
The leg, yeah.
Motherfucker. But this moment right here, this made me so happy, but so sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Tony's been seeing what Stefan's been doing. Like
He's
he is
cottoned on, yeah.
he's taken notice. And the word coward is stuck with Tony for quite some time. That when he sees that Stefan is starting to stand up for himself, maybe he can do it. And how does he start?
But at this point, I think one last time before this happens, you see Dave creep into the room and he makes Stefan lick.
Oh yeah, he's broke him.
He's actually broke him after the stroke at this point.
Yeah.
So when he goes into the refectory room, whatever his restroom, and they're sitting there, and he's eating in front of Stefan, and he's kicking Stefan. Tony sees it happen. Tony sees him starting to get picked on, and he's seen him give up. And Tony does the one thing, which, if you are from New Zealand and you are a native Maori, is it is an ultimate honor. It is a point of pride. It is a point of celebration. And one of the biggest things about doing the haka is its unity. It's about support.
This is
the people you care about, as hence why they do it at funerals. I mean, a lot of people know the haka from the All Blacks doing it in before they play a match, because they were always told, oh, it's a war cry, it's to scare the enemies, it's to do all this. It's not. The haka has never been something used in that way from what I've read. It's always been a celebration of the team, of the country, of the
I thought it was always about unity.
Yeah, and it's we keep using the term New Zealand, but obviously that's the colonized name for it. And it's one of these things where I know the Maori people call it Aotearoa. That's the real name for New Zealand. And I am fascinated with Maori culture. I am stuck on Maori TikTok quite a lot. So I love the moku that they have. I think it's amazing when the women and the men get their moku from families.
Beautiful.
And it is such a beautiful way of, the families come and everyone is different. It's made specifically for the person. Recently, one of the newsreaders became the first female
I saw her
on primetime television to have a moku, which is unheard of. And I just think it's a wonderful thing for a culture to be able to be so free. And the thing is as well, the Maori people are very tolerant. They're two-spirited people. They have the same whole thing like the indigenous, like the Inuit people and things like that. They just believe that there's still the same person in there. It's just the exteriors are different. The person inside is still the same person. And it's so that the family culture, just there's a lot to be learned from the Polynesian, the Maori tribes, that the way that they live. It's such a beautiful thing. And if there are a lot of guys out on TikTok, and I will shout out Packer Davis because he's one of them, and he explains what they mean. He explains, what's okay for white people or non-Indigenous people to do with Maori people, what to not do, what to, do you know what I mean? Like, there's etiquette, but not in a disrespecting way. It's so informative, and I will go off on a rant about this, so I'm pulling myself back now. But my dad used to be a rugby player, so my dad, I've been brought up with New Zealand always being on the TV. It's been a huge part of my life. I've known Kiwis. It's just, it is what it is. So it's just
Oh, I love that. See, my family at a certain point in their life get up from England and fuck off to Australia. I know it's not New Zealand, they are neighbours and it's very different, but that's the only culture I know over that side, because that's where my family literally, honestly, they just literally go My youngest family member to do that did it when he was, oh my gosh, he must have been about 17, and he is in his 30s now, with a baby, and he's just come over to the UK for a trip, and I still haven't seen him yet. Um, but yeah, that's what they do. They literally get up and go. Um, Completely different way of living in Australia. But then we're in New Zealand right now for this movie. But yes, Tony does the haka. And to start with, it's so strong. It's so powerful, but obviously the limitations of Tony's health stop him from going full. And I'm I'm not joking at this point. There's a few moments with Tony where I reach a breaking point of, am I going to cry here? And this is one moment with him where I nearly do.
This was the turning point for Stefan as well,
Yeah.
because Stefan had literally written everything off at this point because he had broken.
Yeah,
He'd written it off. And the fact that Tony went and started doing the haka to Dave to support Stefan, to say, I'm here, you've got me.
and kind of challenging him as well. Like,
Yeah.
you've not fully broke me yet.
Because Dave makes it very, very clear that he is a racist at the beginning. He tells this
Oh,
terrible
yeah, he
joke.
tells this horrible joke.
And it's like, it's not even
It's
particularly disgusting or offensive, but it's a stupid joke that is incredibly unnecessary. It's very xenophobic, very racist, but not. It's not. I can't explain it.
we
It's not.
could hear worse.
Oh
We
God,
could
yeah,
racism. The racism from Dave could have been a hell of a lot worse. I
yeah,
feel like we know he's a racist.
yeah.
We don't need to dwell, like, we don't
No,
need to keep bringing it up all the time, kind of
yeah.
thing.
So they set the scene with this, so that's why you feel like maybe
Oh, it's
Tony's
such a
getting it worse than
moment.
everybody else.
Yeah,
So when Tony uses his Maori against
it's
like
that
Dave,
first
it's that.
leg. It's that first leg hit
Yeah.
when he goes into it, and you're like, you doing? Oh my God. And then, but then it starts to progressively get worse because obviously Tony's health is going to let it, Tony's like physical condition is going to let him down. But my God, does he keep trying to go until he can't physically do it anymore?
Do you know
Oh, it
what the
was such a
translation
moment.
is of the kamate kamate at the beginning?
No.
It's I die, I die, I live, I live.
Okay, after you said that, I feel like I did know that.
Yeah, it's the first bits are like forgive my New Zealand my Maori is not good, but it's something along the lines of kamate kamate ka te ka, something like that. It's the opening sort of sentence of the haka, and it just means I die, I die, I live, I live, and it's about respecting the circle of life, how you come from sunshine, you leave in sunshine. It's when you read the English, it's not as beautiful. It loses a lot in
I get
translation.
so
But
every time I have seen it now, because obviously I don't go down like the Maori TikTok side. I go down more funeral and funeral tradition, and yeah, that side of things. And this comes up a lot at funerals, and I swear I choke every single time I see it because it's the level of this is a moment in someone's life that literally is a breaking point. It is a final farewell. It is probably one of the worst, like, it's not the greatest time, but to watch these people stand up there and do it with the conviction that they have, it's like, oh my God. And to see Tony do it with his conviction.
in the pain that you can see he's
Oh,
obviously
he's
in
in
whilst he's doing it.
so much pain. So yeah, this is watching Tony do this. Stefan's like, hmm,
I'm not giving up now.
no, we've come too far.
Yeah.
We've come too
This is not
far.
what I've signed up for. I've got someone here now. I know I'm not on my own
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, we're not alone. We
Yeah.
are in this together, and this is where the. Do we see them plan this out? Did I miss this part? But because it just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, basically, so I can't think of how they set it up, but does he still Jenny? I can't remember. Something happens where they lure him into
Into Tony's safe
Tony's safe
space,
space. Yeah, yeah,
which is a laundry room, by the way.
yeah. So there's towels and sheets and all sorts everywhere, and I can't remember. No, that was it. That was it. You don't see them, but you can see them setting him up because Dave starts watching Tony run away, and then like the way the Stefan's in his chair and he just turns back and looks at Dave and then fades into the darkness because he starts following Tony, and like it just goes pitch black and he's gone. So then Dave starts running after them, but Dave expects to see Tony in the in the laundry room, but he doesn't. He sees Stefan just sat there on the washing, and he's like, Dave's really confused because he's like, well, I didn't think you would be in here, I thought Tony would be in here. And like he's like, where is he? And he's like looking for him, and
then they attack him.
good on him.
Good on him. How they did it is so actually it's uncomfortable because of the limitations that the two of them have.
Yeah.
That they end up getting him on the floor using one of the laundry sheets and smother him to death.
And I wasn't sure if he was faking at first, but he literally puts his entire body weight, Stefan, lays his entire body weight all over him, and he is like buried amongst all the sheets, and then Tony's held his legs because that's all that Stefan can muster to say from what I can remember. Hold his legs. That was
Stefan's speech is kind of gone at this point. Like it's barely, you can barely understand him at this point. Yeah. And when they reveal it too, it's not like that's it, he's dead and we move on. They reveal that he is dead, and oh my god, did I love how Lithgow did the eyes here. I loved it. I was like, oh my god, you dare try and fucking close them, I will slap you all. But no, them eyes, that face.
He made him ugly in death as well. Like,
yeah, no beauty behind there whatsoever.
No. And that was, then it was their kept secret. Everybody went back to being happy because he's gone.
It was the moment afterwards when they're taking a deep breath in and Tony is crying and Stefan, with the strength that he has, puts his hand on his face and tries to wipe his tears away. And oh my god, I'm getting choked even thinking about this scene. This scene was absolutely beautiful. This is a friendship being formed in the worst way possible.
But there's relief on Tony's.
They have a moment before Stefan gets really poorly where he's like, I'm not the same person I was when I came in here. Like and he kind of like he's contributing it all to Tony. Like he's helped him change his perception on things and the way that he will talk to people, and he knows that he's been a fucking handful. So to have this moment at the end where there's no words between them, it's not needed. It's just that hand on the shoulder, on the face, trying to like get his eyes, and he moves it to the other side. It's absolutely beautiful. Tony looks so at ease.
It's the sheer relief because again, the exposition isn't there to how long this level of he's been subject to this level of abuse for. So for all we know, and I have to say I think at this point it's years. I don't think it's weeks or months.
No.
So
you don't have the fear that he had when he's lying in bed and his eyes are completely peeled open.
Because there's that moment, isn't there, where they do that pan shot around after when you're aware that Dave does his night rounds, where they go to all the different rooms of all the different people that have featured so far, and they're all wide awake. They're all looking at the door. They're all looking at the strip at the bottom of the door to see if he's coming, because he has a staff key card and he will come in your room if he wants to. And I couldn't imagine what that was like, but now
we don't have to because he's dead. He's dead, and the last scene is Stefan throwing Jenny Penn on the fire and watching her slowly burn. Now, there's a few moments in this film where we do get Jenny on her own, minus a hand shoved up her ass. It's very fucking unsettling. There's also a moment where Jenny is shoved in Stefan's face and she frowns.
It's the big Jenny.
Fuck that. When she's up, when big Jenny's behind him. No, fuck that. The frown.
Yeah.
When she, my eyes didn't know what I was looking at because instantly that doll just went. Didn't. Oh, nah, fuck that. Fuck
I
that doll.
think the whole point of that was to disarm you because you're not expecting it because
And
you
it
know,
worked.
as someone who's watching it, you know that that's not a sentient being. You know the
I
whole
expected
premise
the
of what
fucker
it
to get up
is.
and walk about at some point, mind. When she's lying on the floor, I was like, if she gets up now, that's nah, turning this fucker off. Yeah, this movie's gonna stay with me for a long time. For a
It's
long time.
it's it's like I say, it's been a long time since a movie's made me feel anything at the end of it other than annoyance. Or like, yeah,
The
that was all right. You know what I
it's
mean?
just the it's the oh, it's my headphone just squeaked and went um it's the questioning of things, and the last time I ever had something like this was when I watched Tusk.
Oh,
I questioned everything after
yeah.
Tusk. And it's not that I'm like questioning, it's just it's the level of performance,
Yeah.
it's the subject matter, it's the level of abuse, it's the way that the abuse is carried out, because it's not, it could have been much worse. It's because it's not, it's done in small doses with very little effort
Mm-hmm.
that makes it the more scary.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
because even Stefan thinks he can stand up to him, like, who the fuck do you think you are, kind of thing. And
yeah.
it doesn't work. He's not frightened by it.
Because clearly Dave's been doing this since the day he started, or he was conditioned when he first started to
He's
treat
learned it
the
somewhere.
patients like that. You don't know where it's come from. You just know he's been there because
Yeah.
Stefan looks at all the photos of all the staff members over the years because they have like a
Hmm.
wall of all the staff members, and Dave's in the background of every single one. And that's when he cottons on the fact that they just let Dave do Dave because he's been there forever and he's part of the furniture, so it's easier to just let Dave be. They don't question him. They don't
Yeah.
put rules on Dave. The only thing is that he has to have someone with him when he's in the bathroom to have a wash, and that's the only
Yeah, and he gets
rule
his
they ever.
nails clipped and everything.
Yeah,
And
and I think that's when he plays up to pretending or feigning that
but
he's
it helps
yeah,
keep the persona alive,
yeah, yeah.
because he can, act the docile fool that he has done
Mm,
in front of all the staff. Um, yeah, I can't recommend this movie enough. It
mm,
is available on Shudder if you want to go and watch
yeah.
it. If you
Free.
are
You have
free,
Shudder.
yes. But I have no more. Do you have any
Well,
more?
the beauty of this is that both of these guys have been nominated over their period for so many awards. John has been nominated for 78 awards and won 31 of them. He was
Bloody
also,
hell!
yeah, he was also nominated for 2 Oscars for World According to Garp and Terms of Endearment. He won
Makes
a
sense.
Tony Award and an Emmy for Third Rock from the Sun. He also played one of our very, very, very favourite characters in the Stephen King universe. In the 2019 remake, he played Judd. Um,
Sometimes death is better.
he also, this is where we get to see, in my opinion, John Lithgow excel from being the comedy actor that we all know
Hmm.
in when he
Yeah,
turns into Arthur Mitchell, the Trinity Killer in Dexter, and he,
yeah.
spoiler alert, offs Darla from Buffy, Rita, and
One
he
of the worst moments in TV history
and
is the death
re-kicks,
of Rita.
yeah, and it re-kicks the cycle for the child, his son, Dexter's
It's
kid,
Born in
reliving the
Blood.
experience
He's a
that he had.
child
Yeah,
born in blood. Yeah, I think I said this last week. This is Dexter season 4
yeah.
is that's my top tier. And if you want to get me with a TV show, it has to reach the emotional level that did, because that fucking broke me. We did not see that coming. We thought we were safe when he killed him, and we fucking weren't.
The beauty of that as well was that Arthur Mitchell will be making an appearance in the new Dexter Reborn or whatever this new series is
All
called.
right, okay.
They alluded to him in this last season. The
Yeah, I've not been watching. I dropped off of Dexter after Colin Hanks,
I will
so
say I did quite like First Blood. I wasn't. Is it First Blood?
I know
The
what you mean, the prequel
prequel.
one. Yeah, I've
I
heard good
was
things about it.
kind of dead against it, but then I actually started watching it, and I will say 60% of the characters are very, very, very well cast for who they turn out to be,
Hmm.
as we know and
Like,
love.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you also got to think that John Lithgow is born in Rochester in New York, and he's giving us more of an Aussie accent than a Kiwi.
But he doesn't really have a great deal of dialogue, which I think
No,
really is Therese is. But hey, he played Winston Churchill. He
he
played
did.
he played a very iconic English historic person, and he did the accent brilliantly. There was no need to Kevin Costner it. He did it. Dialect was brilliant.
The first time I heard his Aussie accent was when he was in Pitch Perfect 3, Rise of the Nonsense, or whatever it's called. And he played
Still haven't
Fat
seen it.
Amy's crime boss dad,
Oh
Fergus,
my
with the
God.
Australian accent. And he did it really well. I mean, obviously, it was caricatured for the fact that it was the movie. Obviously, Fat Amy is Rebel Wilson. And at the
Hmm.
time, Rebel was Rebel that got
We
work.
know
And
from
now
Pitch.
she's
Yeah,
Rebel that doesn't have any work. But, she was Fat
she was
Amy.
a name.
Yeah, and he's also got a hell of a back history because he studied at Harvard and Lambda. He came to the UK and was admitted to Lambda. Now, Lambda's a massive deal here. If you want to go into theatre acting, Lambda, RADA, they're your two like
Hmm.
UK
Yeah.
aspire to be in the acting world. Like if you want to get trained professionally, that's where you go. Um, he trained in both of those and he ended up getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in May 2001, as well as Geoffrey Rush has his own star as well. Geoffrey got his star, I think it was a lot later. Geoffrey's star came in like 2016, I think. Oh, no, 2009, actually. He got his in 2009. But Geoffrey Rush is the first Australian to be in a movie that grossed over $1 billion, which was the Pirates of the Caribbean film he was in. He's also been awarded the AC, which is the Aussie equivalent of an MBE,
Hmm.
by the Queen. In his career, he's been nominated for a total of 82 awards and won 49. Geoffrey Rush. He is a Tony Award winner, and he is one of only 9 actors in the whole world to have ever completed the trifecta of an Oscar, a
He's an
Tony.
EGOT.
Yeah,
He's an EGOT.
Jeffrey Rush is. Yeah,
Fucking hell, I didn't know that.
he's done the trifecta. He has won
So
one Oscar. He's been nominated for 4 Oscars, won one for the Shine, 3-time BAFTA winner for the King's Speech. He's also
such a good
won
film.
some BAFTAs for for Shine and Shakespeare in Love. He's literally his career has been absolutely huge. But I did find something out that I was curious about when I started looking, and I think I may have mentioned this before. When you want a star on the, when they say,
Yeah,
"Oh, so and so's been awarded a star,"
yeah.
the star to even apply to be considered to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you have to pay $250 for an application.
Uh-huh.
If they grant the application to say to you, yes, yeah, by all means, you can have that star, it's going to cost the actor, the agent, or whoever manages the estate $75,000 to have it made and installed. And then
Ouch.
I think that only pays for a portion of the first X amount of months
Yeah.
slash
You've
years
you've got
for
to
the
keep the
upkeep.
upkeep.
So yeah, so it costs an absolute fortune. But the beauty of it as well is little George, that we haven't talked about Tony. Tony is also an OBE.
Mhm.
He has been also been awarded the CNZM, which is the Citizen of New Zealand member or something or other.
He's
It's
fucking huge, by the way,
yeah,
people.
it's the equivalent, the New Zealand equivalent of an OBE, but he actually does have an OBE as well.
Hmm.
So he is, this was in 2010, he was agreed to this by the Queen. So Geoffrey and George both have recognised, member of the empire from the
Hmm.
Queen in some which way or the other. Um, and that's massive. That is absolutely
Huge.
massive to have.
Absolutely huge. Yeah, I wasn't joking when I said that George, I can't say his surname, was huge. Was absolute. Just because we don't know his name doesn't mean that where he comes from is not. He was huge. However, just to sidetrack a second, because I was meant to mention this a few weeks ago and I totally forgot. Did you see John Carpenter receive his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
Mhm.
It was the funniest shit I have ever seen. That man was not interested, didn't want to be there, wanted to go for food. It was
Mhm.
so fucking funny. Sorry, I
That's
totally
why
forgot to
people,
mention that.
when people say all the time, "Oh, I'd love it if John Carpenter come to a convention," he don't want to be
You
there.
don't want to be there.
He ain't interested.
He made that very clear on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was like, right, okay, rock on, let's go get some food. Like he really did not want to be there.
Always,
He rushed everything, and he kept rushing the main guy. He kept going, come on,
yeah. Kurt Russell even did a speech, and he just stood there and stared at him as if to say, "Look, you're really inconveniencing me now. Can you
we go.
shut the fuck up?"
It's like
But like it was,
food. I just want food.
but I can
Oh,
empathise. I wouldn't want all the people staring at me. Just put it in the floor. I'll just turn up and go, "Thanks very
yeah.
much," leave.
Thumbs
And
up. Let's go. Yeah, it was so funny. I forgot to mention it. I've been
well,
meaning to mention it for ages.
when we've been in one of the times we were in LA, where we used to stay, you've got the Hollywood and Highland Mall, which is not called that now, it's called something else, which is literally you've got the Walk of Fame there and Chinese theatres right next door to the
Yeah.
Hollywood and Highland. So Wolfgang Puck was getting his star when we were there, and it wasn't, we were leaving that day, but they'd set up around
Hmm.
how they do the
Yeah. The
how they
chairs on the
set the
side and
area,
the yeah.
and they put a big riser up and have all
Hmm.
these chairs, but it's such a big thing. Donald Trump's star is was pretty much
Was.
right outside of the bottom of the Hollywood and Highland, and the last time we went, someone had looked like they'd taken a sledgehammer to it. It had been damaged somewhat.
It's been wrecked.
Yeah, but the biggest star that exists, to my knowledge, I mean, I may be wrong, and it's not on the floor, it's on the wall, is Muhammad Ali's. It's
I
on the
think so.
wall of the side of the Hollywood and Highland Mall as you go in to go up the stairs, which at the very top of the stairs, you've got this weird chocolate shop, which also has all of RuPaul's wardrobe in it. It's a strange shop. It also has Elvira's car from the movies. It's got a huge Creepsville shop in it, but it sells chocolate and it's got one of those big life-size pianos, like in big, where you can play it with your feet.
Then
Um, yeah, random stuff, but there you
well
go.
done, Los Angeles.
The people, special effects makeup wise, that worked on this,
Hmm.
provenance, these guys have. I mean, it wasn't a big team. Like I said, there was about 6 people, but the prosthetics designer, Don Brooker, he had worked on Mad Max Fury Road, District 9, Ash vs. Evil Dead, the movie version of What We Do in the Shadows, Wellington Paranormal, King Kong. So he's well
Oh, I
rooted in the
see
Peter
where yeah.
Jackson, and he's done a lot of the Lord of the
Tiger
Rings, The
and
Hobbit.
hmm
He is literally in the Taika
He's
Waititi
in the New Zealand grasp, isn't he?
and the Peter Jackson world.
Hmm.
Frankie Carina, I don't know whether it was a man or female, so you have to bear with me. They were a makeup designer. They did Ghost in the Shell, Pearl, X, Avatar, all of Peter Jackson's, pretty
Do you know
much
what?
very similar.
We can have
Although,
opinions. We can have opinions on how our feelings on Avatar and the films, but you cannot take away anything when it comes down to prosthetics, makeup, CGI, like the whole works. You can't take. I feel anyway. You can't take away from that. That is some spectacular work.
well, the weirdest thing as well was when I had a look, there was only like I said, 6 headers. So you had, what I say was, you had the prosthetics designer, the makeup designer, you had a hairdresser,
Yeah,
you
I
had the
can understand
contact
that.
lens person,
I
and
knew there were contact lenses.
then you had your standard like beauty makeup person, and the other
Hmm.
person was teeth, which was Chris Lyons, and he made John's teeth
Chris.
for the movie.
Oh, Chris. Them
Chris
teeth.
Lyons is also, he's won an award for the prosthetic work in the teeth, because he specifically deals in teeth and teeth only,
Hmm.
for Phantom Menace.
Fuck yes.
He won an award for the work he did on the teeth
Did you hear
for the
that, Jar Jar?
prosthetic section of the Phantom Menace. So that guy's been there, he's been around the block. You know, if you look at his back history, he's another one. He's well rooted in the New Zealand, Australia,
Yeah,
you know,
the grasp.
the world. And it was, they've got provenance. They've worked on some massive films, these guys. They know what they're doing. But I will say they had also all worked on the most recent piece of shit from Blumhouse, and I'm not putting alleged in there because I've seen it and I've tortured myself with this nonsense. I watched The Wolfman. I fell asleep in the middle of it, mind, but I did watch The Wolfman, and what a steaming pile of dog shit that was. They all worked on it, and they did well with the prosthetics, don't get me wrong, for what he wanted, but
Poor Larry. His legacy, will never be matched, will it?
I was waiting for the little real Larry to look around the corner, but this was just bullshit. It was a bullshit
Oh,
film.
Larry.
Literally,
Sorry, mate. They're
traded,
never gonna get you right.
they just traded off the back of the fact that they thought the Benicio del Toro / Anthony Hopkins one didn't work, which I think it did. It had a place. It just wasn't there yet for what they required because they didn't want to do practical. They didn't want to do CGI, but they melded the two, and then they ended up with that.
Then
And
don't do it. Then just
it
didn't
just
do it. Leave him alone. You've
look,
got.
hot glue
You've
it
had.
to
You've
his fucking face.
exactly.
It works.
Look what Jack Pierce did. He fucking hot glued fur to Lon Chaney Jr. And look at the masterpiece that we got. Fucking honestly, man, just leave it alone. Leave him alone. Leave
Yeah.
them all alone. Stop it talking about remakes of freaking. Oh, don't get
But you can
started.
do original. Look, right. I want to make this very clear. All we see lately, reboot, revamp, redo, fucking hash, reimagine,
Yeah.
whatever, right? Bullshit. Look at what we just watched.
Yeah.
2024, this came out, this film.
Yeah.
There are original ideas out there. Go get your research people to read.
Yeah.
Go read books, option stories from writers. Do some legwork. I mean,
Yeah.
as much as we all have issues with J.K. Rowling in one way or another, it took her a long time to get her the book optioned into a film. I think it was the best part of 12 to 15 years for her
because
to get it
essentially she was selling Star Wars. No, I'm joking.
Well,
I'm
basically,
joking.
she had consistently been picked up. Books were read. People refused her. Picked up. Book was read. What the hell's this about? Wizards? What the fuck is Quidditch?
Yeah.
No, thank you. Too complimentary.
Too much law there.
Put on
Yeah,
a shelf. Put on a shelf. And then there was this one occasion where they were looking for something that was a little bit different. They needed something a bit magical for the kids. You know, Phantom Menace was coming out around the same time, and they were just like, we need something. Star Wars has worked. Let's get something. Do you know what I mean? There was this whole like buzz about having a new kind of like big franchise for the kids, but they weren't sure what it was, and it just took for this one person to pick it up and read the Philosopher's Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone if you're in America, and it just they were like something clicked for them, and they were like, we can do something with this, and they did. So there's original shit out there. You've just got to have your researchers look for it and not do a Blumhouse, which is a copy and paste. Okay, yeah, every now and again there's the odd little bit with a Blumhouse.
odd little one that kind of creeps out.
The Bondsman was Blumhouse. It had Jason Blum involved in it, and I will say 60% of that I quite enjoyed. It was Supernatural with Kevin Bacon. However, the 40% of Blumhouse you could see in it, and that had moments where it put me off watching it. But I will recommend The Bondsman because it's something a bit different.
Yeah, if you are interested in movies of this nature, I can't recommend enough the Taking of Deborah Logan. That kind of heavily focuses in on dementia, and it is fucking spectacular. Such a brilliant film. If you are
messed up,
really fucking messed up, but really fucking good at the same time. So Dan, did you do 666 of separation of Jake?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and this one I
don't know which one you're going to go with, though.
Well, this was the thing. There was two options, but I had to go with where my heart lied on this one.
Okay.
So, John Lithgow played George Henderson in the 1987 Harry and the Hendersons.
Fuck yeah.
Harry was played by Kevin Peter Hall, who at 7'2" most famously played Predator in the first two movies.
Oh, may you rest in peace. Okay.
Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally cast in the role, but was fired due to creative differences. He wanted Predator to kickbox, and ultimately standing at 5'11".
Possibly happening in 2025.
He wasn't the imposing silhouette they were going for. Jean-Claude also voiced the character Jean-Claude in 2022's Rise of Gru, alongside Steve Carell. Steve played a character called Teso in 1991's John Hughes' movie Curly Sue.
Oh my god.
John Hughes wrote Home Alone, which Chris Columbus directed, and Chris Columbus also directed Adventures in Babysitting.
Wow.
So
That was a route I did not see. To be honest, I never know where you're going, so I don't know why I'm like, oh, I can see that one coming. I don't see any of them coming.
well, the beauty of this is I've Keith Coogan's wife actually liked that thing I put up about how I link every movie we cover on this podcast back to Adventures in Babysitting, and Pinky liked it. She was like,
yay! It's
she's
never
like
going
the
to change.
poster. I'm just like, ask, and we can have you on, and I will somehow, we will do Anaconda, we will do that god awful film you were in just to have you on the podcast.
And see how you can link that
Back
with
to him with his,
yeah.
and he's in it already. I will find a way.
Oh my God, that'd be brilliant. I am going to be intrigued, very intrigued, how you will do next week's.
To quote Jeff, life finds a way.
No. Just to let Mike Kell know, I did not watch that film that you had said I should watch.
Yes, I did want to do a thanks to Mike Kell for doing the review. Not on my recommendation. I want to make this very clear. I wasn't recommending people watch it because I thought it was good. I just needed someone else to watch it with their own eyes.
Basically to prove to her that it is real, it exists.
Exactly.
Mike did that.
Yes, Mike did, and there is a comprehensive review Mike did out there on the Horror Asylum if you guys would like to go and read it, confirming that that was a fever dream and I was not hallucinating, and everybody that watches it has a joint hallucination at the same time. So
I didn't watch it, Mike, because I decided that today I am going to go back and watch the Hellraisers and finally understand what the fuck is going on with them films. So yeah, I didn't watch it. But I will, just to say that I have and prove to Dan that it does exist.
don't go out your way. Like, I want to
you don't want to be blamed now for people watching this and going, what the fuck have you just made us watch?
I'm not suggesting you should. I'm just saying that
it exists. It's a thing.
It's like I want people to watch it because I need to know what their thoughts are, but I don't want to recommend it as like something you should watch either.
Yeah.
It's like it's a hard one, but it is one of those movies that your brain can't quantify because the people that are in it are better than what they do in these movies.
Fred Durst.
I mean, Fred, I think he does a cameo. I can't remember. He's definitely directing it. But Devon Sawa, we all know Devon Sawa from so many things. You know, Final Destination was we grew up with him in that, and Casper. You know,
Idle Hands, man.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. We've covered that. Go back and watch that episode.
Fuck yeah, we did.
But also John Travolta. Now, like or dislike John Travolta for whatever reasons people have against him, rightly or unrightly so. He is.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I've never understood why I know the whole Scientology thing, but like he doesn't publicly talk about. He's not Tom Cruise in it about the world. You know, he doesn't. He keeps his shit to himself.
The thing about John is that he's led a sad life, and he turned to
it is really
Scientology for whatever reason, whether he was indoctrinated or elsewise.
Listen, if you watch the Scientology documentaries, there is a reason why these people join, and it's got fuck all to do with what you think it is. There is a deeper, hidden spiritual. They just don't fucking. You don't see a lot of it because it changes. It changes later on. Like the message gets a lot different the longer that you're in it.
And I genuinely think if you really want to go down that rabbit hole, check out everything Leah Remini's done. And Leah Remini is Michelle Visage's best friend. She was also in King of Queens. She's most famous for doing the expose with Mike. He's just passed away. Mike
passed away. Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name.
They did. They've done so many exposes and helped people get out and spoken to people who've got out. And
only watch the first and second season because Leah gets very the direction starts to change when the more the seasons go on, because it's fueled by it starts to get fueled by anger, and it really changes everything. But the first and second season is an absolute masterpiece. HBO did a fantastic documentary on Scientology if you really want to fucking get to learn about the fucked up world and life of L. Ron Hubbard, because David Miscavige, he got fucking shit on Hubbard.
And I'm telling you, he's killed Shelley. Well,
She's fucking
allegedly,
dead.
Shelley's dead. Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly, please don't fucking helicopters over me house and shit. It's not
So
worth it. I'm not worth it.
there's something definitely gone on there, because even she openly admits it. But allegedly, it's alluded to.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is Jesus, and Shelley's not with us anymore.
He's not. I just want to put that out there. He's
No,
not.
no.
He's not.
He's only slightly taller than baby Jesus.
It's just a fucking. Scientology comes from a really stupid, fucking, really bad sci-fi writer who wrote this lore out and went, you know what? I bet there's some mugs out there who believe this is true.
And I'm going to keep charging them to get to the top tier, and then when they're almost there, I'm going to fail them and tell them they have to repeat everything and pay $250,000 per tier to get back to where they were in the original. It's all
It's a fucking bullshit
to
pyramid
prove
scheme.
that you are a lizard person. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? What?
It's just a really
What?
Hubbard was just a really shit fucking sci-fi writer. His books are fucking horrific. But that's enough about Scientology, because I don't want the fuckers knocking on my door.
I've
What
been
we do?
accosted by them down Hollywood Boulevard already. They look like they used to work in Blockbusters. You know, the beige slacks and the blue
Mm,
they all dress like that.
yeah,
And when they're walking up and
yeah.
down Hollywood Boulevard, I crossed the road. I was like, nah.
Nah,
They were
fuck that.
auditing people on the streets. Like they had tables set up where they were auditing them, you know, where they have to hold the machines and stuff. Fascinating. Fascinating.
It's just
Like,
it's
I just can't.
the auditing part was so it was what it wasn't even like it was actually a good thing what they were doing.
It was
If you
like
watch the
a
HBO,
therapy-ish
yeah,
type.
yeah. If you watch the HBO documentary, it really gives you like, and this is possibly half the reason why some people joined, if they know this side of Scientology, because it was very spiritual before it got into the greed, the money, no tax on fucking really stupid church and shit like that. And
You're a lizard
if
person.
if they got a tax bill, there'd be no more Scientology.
Mm.
And just same, they wouldn't, because they would owe far too much money. Next week. Because today has been a little bit on the serious side, we thought we'd crank it up a notch and go really far over the other side.
We are going to early 90s territory here, and something that is so bizarre.
I can't even believe it's real.
It's one of those things. It exists and it is great, and everything about it, I think, is going to be right up our alley. It's been a freaking long time. I feel like I've seen it before, but again, like I said to Sammy, I have no idea if I have or not. But I'm excited about this one because I just think it's so different, and it's early 90s as well. So you're progressing from your 80s cheese into your 90s, early 90s nonsense. So
this is the era of MTV.
Mm.
It literally comes from an MTV sketch. We are doing Freaked. If you are unfamiliar with it like I was, Google it.
Alex
Loki's
Winter.
Loki's just scared the fucking shit out of us. He's been fast asleep behind us the whole time, and I just felt something walk across me like my legs, and I was like, "What the fuck is?" Oh, it's the white cat. Yeah, we're doing Freaked. I'm excited because, like I said, this has been a really, I want to say a serious one, but one that kind of like the conversation's been very different. It's been very, I feel like we did I feel like we did a really good job, because when I watch films like that, I worry that I'm going to miss the point. I don't think I have.
Yeah.
I think I've kind of articulated myself in a way that I'm very pleased with for once. Maybe
honestly,
it's the Lucas Aid sport.
Yeah, we're on the same page. Like I said, I had my moments where I wasn't sure if Dave was real or not, but then the more you watch it, the more you understand he is, and it's just despicable.
Yeah, but it's so good. I cannot recommend it enough. Please go and watch it. If we have in any form or way ruined it for you, I don't feel us. I generally don't think telling you the story is going to make any difference to your watching experience. You need to experience the moments, that terror, that fear, the isolation, the fucking music. There's so much that you need to experience in this movie to kind of get what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I do think that when we told you, you should have paused and gone and watched it, you should have listened. So you
Yeah.
can't blame us because we did tell you.
Didn't come for us because I'm not listening to it. Yeah, so next week is this has been I have forgotten this title so many times this week. I knew it was Jenny Penn, but I couldn't remember I was like, the tale of Jenny Penn? The rule of Jenny Penn. So this has been the rule of Jenny Penn. Next week's going to be Freaked. You can find us every Monday at 8 o'clock on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel. The episode premieres at 8 o'clock, so if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified that the episode is live. Later on in the afternoon, it will be available from anywhere that you get your podcast from. The links for Bleeding Marvelous, Monsters Up North, and Nerdy Up North are where, Dan?
Down there. Down there, down there,
Down there.
down there.
They're down there. Also, if you are searching for our audio, please remember to search Monsters Up North podcast. Do not search Monsters Up North.
Canny band like, but they're not what you want.
No. Search Monsters Up North podcast and you will find us from anywhere you get your podcast from. I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else left to say goodbye, Dan.
I'm going to end this one without a quote because this is too heavy, and I'm just going to say good night. This occasion.
Yeah, I get that. Stay spooky, everyone. Bye. Bye.